Hi everybody. Today what we're going to do is we're going to do a pumpkin from a bird's eye view, and we're going to use those skills we learned in shading with the value scale from light to dark or dark to light. We're going to be creating a bird's eye view of a pumpkin. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to first take my rectangular piece of paper and I'm going to turn it into a square. It'll make it a little bit more interesting and look a little bit more realistic. So I just took that extra piece of paper off, save it for another time, another place. So you can see here I did a little sketch of it on my little half index card. I have my drawing and then I moved on to color. So I'm going to show you how we get started. You're going to open up your square, and the shape you're going to start with is the center. For us, that will be the stem of the pumpkin. So I'm going to just take a Sharpie. Yeah, I think I better do it in Sharpie. Here we go. And I'm going to make this sort of organic shape. It's going to be very wiggly. We don't want a circle. We don't want a square, rectangle, anything like that. Organic means that it really doesn't have a shape, but it's from nature. So this is going to be sort of around where the stem is attached. So similar to when we did our optical illusion, we had our lines that radiate out toward the edges. We're going to come from the center and go out, but we're going to curve our lines. Give it more of that pumpkin feel. Now you can go in different directions. You can go all in the same direction. I'm going to leave that up to you. I'm going to turn my paper as I go. And you're going to see that this also could be the start of a flower, very much in the style of the artist Georgia O'Keeffe. And there we go. So I have my shape. It's the bird's eye view. It's like we're looking toward the top of the pumpkin. So here we go. I'm going to start like this, and then I'm going to think about what kind of stem I want, and you can go back and make any other changes you want to your stem. I'm going to make mine like this, and since it's a bird's eye view, I don't want it to look so perfect. I'm going to add some wiggly lines to make it look more realistic. Whatever you choose for your stem, you go do that. So now I'm going to show you my one section, and you certainly can use any materials you want. This is crayon. I know a lot of people feel like crayons are just little kids kind of materials, but this is going to show you how great you can get the colors to blend together. So I worked with that red-orange color toward here and even a little here. So toward that part where the pumpkin kind of bends in, that shadow, sort of like if you look at your fingers, it looks a little darker here. Those folds are going to be where there's a little more shadow. So here, closer to the stem, and as it's coming out, so where the light's really hitting it is where you're going to have your lightest color. You can see I did crayon and then I added some watercolor. I'm going to leave it up to you. I showed you how I did the crayon. I picked the colors so that when I was looking, I would pick my red-orange, my orange, maybe even red. So let's go from there. That. Anything in this family will work really well. I could use these guys. I probably would use a little bit of brown and a little bit of green. These other colors, beautiful. Maybe don't need them so much for this piece. So I'm going to think about this color family. So as I said, I went darker toward the edge, darker toward the edge, darker toward the edge, a little bit darker here. And then I'm just going to work my way through my colors from darkest to lightest or lightest to darkest, whatever you prefer. And then I always kind of overlap the last color to help with the blending, pressing a little harder, going through. And you can see how the colors are starting to blend here. I probably forgot to say also, don't forget yellow. Yellow's a great blending color. It's going to really give that look where the light hits it. And that's basically how you're going to get started. If you were doing it in paint, you could probably think about the orange, the red, orange, the yellow, and the same thing. So you would take your, get a little water, and usually what I like to do is build a little puddle in each section of water. There we go, okay. And then I'm going to start with the darkest color toward the edges. So I might start with the red over here, and you might think that's a little too dark. Don't worry, because I'm going to work fairly quickly. And the reason I'm going to work quickly with watercolor is because I really want the blending to work. So I'm going to rinse my brush, and then I'm going to choose my next color. And while it's still wet, I get great blending results here. You can see how the red and the orange are blending. Sometimes you just want to use water to help it blend. You don't even need paint, just some water to help them blend. Right on down the line until you get to the yellow. Sorry, I need a little water here. Here we go. And so I'm going to get a little yellow, and that's going to do a lot of the blending for me. I can go right over the red still. You don't have to just do the section there at the time. And so from there, add any details you want. You can see on this one how it looks as crayon, how it looks as watercolor. Colored pencils will work as well, just because you're working with a smaller tip in a colored pencil. It's probably going to take a little longer. One way around that is to actually use the side of the color. So if I were doing something with a colored pencil and I said, wow, that's a lot to color in, if you kind of hold it on the side, you can get more out of it than if you keep it on the tip. You'll get much more of that line kind of look, which works in some cases, but in this case, if I were blending with colored pencils, I'd hold it more on an angle to get more of that effect. Okay, have fun. Can't wait to see.